We start with some breaking news just in. The International Criminal Court in The Hague has issued an arrest warrant for Vladimir Putin over alleged war crimes in Ukraine. Putin has not responded to the warrant, but his foreign ministry dismissed it as being of no significance. The court said the warrant was issued over Putin's suspected involvement in the unlawful deportation and transfer of children from occupied areas of Ukraine to Russia. Russia is not a member of the ICC, so it has no legal obligation to cooperate with it. Russia denies committing atrocities in Ukraine. Let's get more from our correspondent, Lucia Schulten in Brussels. Good to see you. Let's start by, what does the court's warrant actually say and what crimes is Putin accused of?
So, thank you very much. The actual arrest warrant is not publicly available. There has been a statement issued today by the ICC where they specify a little bit what this is about. And as already mentioned before, it is Putin is being accused of being responsible for the war crime of unlawful deportation of population, and there they specify children, and that of unlawful transfer of the unlawful transfer of these from occupied areas of Ukraine to the Russian Federation. The ICC, or the investigator of the ICC, is saying that there are reasonable grounds to believe that Mr. Putin bears individual criminal responsibility for these crimes. So this is basically what has been put towards Putin.
So, Lucia, we know the charges, we know the case, if you like. What is expected to happen next?
Well, now, of course, they have issued an arrest warrant in order to get hold of him. As long as there is the person not been taken custody of, there is nothing that can seriously happen. No judicial proceeding can go forward. As already heard as well, Russia is not a member of this court and is not a signatory state of the Rome Statute, which is the basis of this. But another 123 states are, and these 123 states are bound by the obligations. So for now, it is maybe more symbolic, but it is nevertheless a strong sign.
It's only the early stages of this story, but have there been any reactions to the warrant being issued?
Yeah, there has been reactions. There have been reactions from the both parties involved, basically. So, for once, the Ukraine's presidency has said that this is only an initial step in restoring justice over Russia's invasion. Then there's also a reaction from the Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman that has stated that Russia is not a member of the Rome Statute, as I already have mentioned, and underpinning that the ICC would have that Russia has no responsibility towards the ICC, and said therefore that the legal meaning of this would be limited. Nevertheless, for Ukraine, they have hailed this, and also maybe just to remember you, that Ukraine has been looking for getting international justice now for a while, and they have also been asking the crime of aggression, that there would be a special tribunal being erected for pursuing or for going against Russia for the crime of aggression. So right. This is maybe only the beginning of a longer process of international justice looking into this war in Ukraine.
DW correspondent Lucia Schulten in Brussels, thank you so much. Well, China's President Xi Jinping will meet with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin in Moscow next week. The visit will be Xi's first to Russia in nearly 4 years. A Kremlin official says the two leaders will discuss the conflict in Ukraine as well as military cooperation. The visit signals a strong show of China's support for Russia as Putin faces increasing international isolation over his invasion of Ukraine. Well, Andrew Small is a senior transatlantic fellow with the German Marshall Fund's Indo-Pacific program here in Berlin. Good to have you with us, Andrew. This is essentially Xi's first state visit since being reconfirmed as Chinese leader. It's also his first visit since the invasion. What do you make of the timing of this meeting?
Well, Xi Jinping has taken virtually every major opportunity he's had at these important junctures since he first became General Secretary of the party to meet with Putin and conduct these symbolic trips. So in one way, this is a demonstration that he is prepared to go ahead with these kind of routine exchanges in which he has continued to deepen relations with Russia, even at a sensitive juncture, as we're seeing now, barely a year after the Russian invasion. The criticism that he knew would come for going ahead with a state visit in this context is something that he's comfortable pushing back against. The one thing that he is doing around the visit in order to provide some level of political cover for it is also putting a call in, it would appear, after the trip to Zelensky, which he's refused to do over the entirety of the last year, despite claiming to be neutral. And this can be portrayed in some sense or other as part of Chinese peace efforts for Ukraine. But I think the focus of this, as indicated, is very much the ongoing deepening of Sino-Russian ties, which we've seen continue over the last year, economically, in energy ties and militarily.
Yeah, all eyes on this meeting. Britain, for one, has urged Xi Jinping to use the meeting to put pressure on Putin to withdraw from Ukraine. But the question being, is Xi even interested in ending this war, especially in light of intelligence reports that Beijing is considering providing Russia with weapons and ammunition?
Yes, we know that there'll be no real bilateral pressure put on Putin from Xi Jinping. He values this relationship. He values the personal relationship with Putin as well. It's been seen as a real success by him that they've been able to pull China-Russia relations to their current state in the wider context of the struggle that China sees itself engaged in with the United States, and as Xi Jinping laid out in the last couple of weeks, with the West in general. This isn't just a US question, this is the West too. Then Russia is a critical partner, and Putin is very helpful in this regard. So I don't think we can expect there to be pressure put on Putin or on Russia during these meetings. There are some costs for China of the war, certainly. It's made it harder to transact with Russia. Some of the global fallout has been economically costly, but there are also advantages to China, certainly, in terms of what Russia's willing to offer them, and in terms of the degree to which it's tied the US down with its strategic focus in Europe.
Andrew, Xi is not just meeting with Putin, though. He's also expected in the near future to meet with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, with Xi casting himself as this global statesman. What do we know about his vision for peace in Ukraine?
Well, the Chinese government put out this 12-point position paper around the anniversary of the invasion, which was not really a peace plan. A lot of it was as much kind of standard points, Chinese foreign policy positions, including blaming Cold War mentality and essentially NATO expansion as being the root cause of the conflict. There's not yet any indication that China has a plan as such. They want to be seen to be engaged as peacemakers. They know it matters reputationally, but there's no indication that they're really putting in the effort to find common ground, figure out common positions. And to be fair to them, it's not clear that that's meaningfully possible at the moment either. But they do want to be positioning themselves nonetheless as focused on peace. That's what the Chinese diplomats are briefing at the moment, because they know, of course, otherwise how this visit will be seen, which is, a strong show of support for Putin at a very delicate juncture.
Great to get your thoughts. Andrew Small from the German Marshall Fund. Thank you.